Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. It's very cold here in Australia, so hopefully wherever you are in your part of the world, it's a lot warmer. I thought what better way to spend a freezing cold afternoon than do a review for you all. So hopefully you find this one interesting. It's a documentary, so it's something a little bit different. If you like your docos, then this one is for you. Released in 2008, it's a film from Israel, so spoken in Hebrew, English subtitles, directed by Ari Folman, and this movie is called Waltz with Bashir. Now, this is a biography of Ari Folman. Ari Folman served in the Israeli army in the 80s during the Lebanon War. So it's told in animation, which I actually thought was a really cool twist, and it really gives us a real nightmarish feel, which is exactly what the director wanted. So basically the story is as follows. One night at a bar, an old friend tells director Ari Folman about a recurring nightmare in which he is chased by 26 vicious dogs. Every night the same number of beasts. The two men conclude that there's a connection to their Israeli mission in the First Lebanon War of the early 80s. Ari is surprised that he can't remember a thing anymore about that period of his life. Interviewing past colleagues and acquaintances, Ari begins to uncover the horrific demons of his past, and his terrible memories slowly start to creep back. Told using stunning animation, Waltz with Bashir is enchanting, gripping, horrific, innovative, and unlike anything you've ever seen before. So, as I said, Ari Folman, the director, it's told through a animation, except for right at the end, which I'll talk about a little bit later. You don't have to worry, there are no spoilers for this because it doesn't run on surprise twists. So basically, Ari Folman's animated character, and he's narrating the film as well, meets up with a colleague that also served in the Israeli war. Now, this colleague is having a recurring nightmare that's been the same for 2 years, and this nightmare involves 26 vicious dogs chasing him through the streets. And this dream always ends when he makes it into his house, he looks down over the balcony, and he can see all of these dogs snarling and growling at him. So for the last 2 years, it's been exactly the same. He has a very vivid memory, and he can recount that there is 26 dogs on each and every dream that he has. So he's talking to Ari Folman about this, and he starts to realize that maybe it's connected to his mission in the Israel occupation of Lebanon in the early 80s. So he asks Ari what Ari remembers of the war, and Ari can't recall anything. He basically has a memory loss, and when it comes to his time in the war, he just can't remember a thing. So his colleague thinks that this is very weird and that he should talk to someone about it and start to remember what he did, because this other guy really is torn up by these dreams, and he really wants to know what to do, but Ari can't help him because he can't remember a thing. So Ari goes to his psychiatrist, and his psychiatrist says that the mind is a very powerful thing, and that if we've committed horrific deeds in the past, our memory can work to basically erase those memories. And so this is what Ari suspects has happened to him. So he really wants to know what happened, and so he interviews more people that served in the war with him, and as he interviews more people, he starts to remember a lot more, and this is where his horrific demons of the past come back to haunt him. Now, this all leads up to a massacre which occurred where Palestinian civilians were just slaughtered. Now, I'm not going to tell you in detail what happened, but that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself. But it all leads up to an unforgettable image that I'm going to talk about a little later. As I say, don't have to worry about spoilers. So, yeah, as far as the synopsis goes, that is all I'm going to tell you about this film. Now, my thoughts on this movie. I was really worried that this movie was going to be pro-Israel, and it was going to be propaganda for the Israeli army to basically tell you how much Palestine are in the wrong. I know a few other documentaries have been guilty of that, and to me that is not good documentarian, or if that's a word. That's not a good director will not do that. He will not take sides, because I think going into a documentary, it's important for the viewer to be neutral, to look at the real story of this film, and that is the war and how wasteful war can be, and that the only real victims are the innocent civilians that are caught in between. Thankfully, what makes this movie so brilliant is the fact that it does not play the blame game, and it shows that both sides in this war are at fault, and that, you know, both sides will do their best to paint the other one as the villain. Therefore, the war just continues, and more innocent lives are lost. This movie is extremely hard-hitting, and I really like the fact that it was told in animation, and that really creates this very surreal atmosphere, and it really does feel like you're going back into a very horrific memory, and the animation just helps create a dreamlike atmosphere, and the animation is done very, very well. Having said that, there is no less impact in in the violence. This is a very violent movie. It's very graphic, so be very careful going into it. Where this film really hit me the hardest was right at the end. At the end, you get to see real dead bodies from this massacre. You get to see surviving family members screaming, they're crying, they're basically saying death to the people that committed this atrocity. And you can see, as I said, the mangled and mutilated dead bodies of women, men, and the most horrific scene that I've seen in a movie in a very long time was seeing a 5-year-old kid who's been killed. And I thought that was just, it summed up this war perfectly, in that this kid did absolutely nothing, but she is a victim because of this bitter conflict that has been going on for so long. Personally, was it necessary to show the violence so graphically? Yes, because I think that a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this, have said that the war is happening so far away from home that it's kind of like if you turn a blind eye, you turn the other cheek, it doesn't exist. What you see, what you don't see can't hurt you. So I feel that, I never like seeing real footage of dead bodies, but I actually thought that this movie, it had to have it because it will open your eyes to what's really going on. And it's so easy to just turn a blind eye to the evils of the world, and that you kind of create a safe house for yourself and say that these things don't occur. They only exist on movies, and I'm not seeing the real deal. Whereas this movie, it shows the real deal. And even in the animated scenes, it's a retelling of a life story, so this is how it actually really happens, so it just makes it even more powerful. I thought it's so much emotion. The soundtrack was absolutely incredible. I love the way that the director made this film. I loved the fact that it showed real life footage right at the end, because then you go from a surreal atmosphere and then you go smack bang into reality, and that's where you start to think, wow, these things really exist. And it's not gratuitous violence, it was not unnecessary, it was all to paint the picture of a wasteful sort of war. There are scenes of this film where kids are being lined up and shot. There's another one where an Israeli soldier had to execute a kid because the kid was firing a rocket launcher. Just very, very hard-hitting scenes, and no one is safe in this movie. And that's exactly how war is. And Ari Folman absolutely nailed this one. It's one of the most breathtaking films I've ever seen. I think it's an absolute masterpiece. If you're into documentaries, even if you're not into documentaries, I still suggest you pick this one up. It's a lot better than your real stuff like Faces of Gore and all that other crap that is just gratuitous, and that's there for you to say, oh, cool. But this movie is not saying, oh, cool. This is showing violence for what it really is, just a complete waste. And for a real life documentary, I feel that this one is head and shoulders above anything else, because I think, if anything, other documentaries have been guilty of either being propaganda or showing violence in a stylized way. This movie is far from it. I thought it's one of the best movies I've seen in a very long time. Very, very important for everyone to see the horrors of war, because as long as we continue to turn a blind eye, this stuff will just keep happening and happening. And although it's not happening where you are, it still doesn't mean it's not reality, because it certainly is. And that's why I feel that you have to watch this film throughout the entire length. Be warned that the ending is very hard to watch, but I think it's very important, because it's not you being a sicko, it's just you seeing what really happens in this world and just how wasteful war can be. And that if things don't start to change, then this will just keep on happening and happening. And just because you're not seeing it, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. So, an incredible movie. It's a solid 5 out of 5. I seriously cannot floor this film. I think it's one of the most important films ever made, and I would highly recommend you check this one out. It doesn't take sides. To say that this is propaganda, I think, is missing the point completely. Ari Folman has created an absolute gem. This is unlike anything you've ever seen. It has incredible power, and it's just an absolutely beautiful film, but at the same time horrific. So 5 out of 5. It's a masterpiece. Please go and see this one. Alright guys, that's my review for Waltz with Bashir. Incredible stuff. Just please go and watch it. You will not be sorry. So until next time, keep watching movies. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you later. Bye.